So the fleet docking out from beautiful Saint-Tropez, the tensions of day one, well, it's hard to tell whether the tensions dropped or actually risen. Great test on the Gulf of Saint-Tropez. Well, the second day for racing saw much better conditions. It was really about Platoon, though, coming back with winning the first race, getting a third in the second race. Quantum Racing, the champions, won the second race of the day and started to show some good form. First race, it was a win for Platoon. They round the top mark just behind Paprec, the French team, leading at the top mark. And at the leeward gate, Platoon went round the right-hand side mark and they got away to win the race. Paprec getting through in second.
What I felt in the beginning, we have the potential to be strong, and that we showed today.
Second race, Platoon got closed out and had to restart. Quantum got out to the right along with Sled on the first beat, and they were the first two round the top mark, and they went on to be first and second.
Today we felt better than we did yesterday, and we hope to feel better tomorrow.
So a good recovery for Platoon, make them the top scoring boat of the day, but Interlodge still just on top of the standings. Now ahead of Preveza, Interlodge on 16, Preveza 17, Allegra on 19, and that first and a third today take Platoon up to fourth place on 20 points. So very good afternoon and welcome to the Gulf of Saint-Tropez, and it really is vintage champagne conditions here. We're going into race number 5, the midpoint of the regatta, and we have great conditions. We have probably 12 knots of breeze, beautiful sunshine, still a little bit chilly. It's still springtime here. There's still a little bit of snow on the hills way back in the distance, but the action here promises to be super hot. It's Interlodge at the top of the table by just a single point, and then behind them Preveza and Allegra are putting together pretty consistent series so far, particularly Allegra 4-4, 4 and a 7, Preveza 2-5-4-6, and it's super close. And yesterday we started to see some of the big guns, the title contenders you would imagine, or the usual title contenders, the likes of Platoon then top boat yesterday after starting with a 7th and a 9th in the first day. They've got the bus rumbling and got a first and a third, so they were the top boat yesterday. And also Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic. Well, they've got 4 young new sailors on board. It's taking a little bit of time to gel, as you might imagine. And so after a fairly lackluster opening day with a 5 and an 8, yesterday they did 8 and 1, and so but the first was quite convincing in the end, just ahead of Sled. So say conditions are looking pretty good. I think we were talking about the nerves round the boat park on day 1, and perhaps even increasingly day 2 yesterday. There's quite a bit of tension around, principally because I think everyone was quite rusty on the first day, and high expectations, and didn't really play out as everyone had hoped for. And it's a tricky race course. I'm looking at the line this time. Yesterday, that second race was really quite difficult. We had a big shift to the right just before the start, and that meant that the committee boat was really busy. There was only one key spot really at the committee boat, which everybody was pitching for, and it was very, very difficult. In fact, remember that Platoon got closed out. So I see a little bit more port bias on the line. The left hand end of the line is a little bit further forward. Now, whether indeed anybody really tries to take advantage of that, we'll wait and see. But we have 1 minute to go. You can see Platoon perhaps going for the lower risk option. Vasco Vascotto and Jordi Calafat. We did a nice chat with Vasco Vascotto this morning, and that will be shown in one of our Drive to Live documentaries over the course of the season. So busy once again at the committee boat end of the line. Sled trying to get in. Gladiator holding up the ley line, if you like, and Sled this time they're closed out. And I can assure, always a long time rivalry between Quantum Racing and Azura. Well, Guille Parada's driving the Gladiator. He's holding up Quantum as much as he can. Sled may indeed manage to get the option to go all the way round and get in at the committee boat end of the line. Harry Melges on the helm of Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic, just holding up Interlodge. Interlodge having to do a big dial down just to build the speed. So nice start at the committee at the pin end of the line from Platoon. all the bows absolutely even, really. Good start by Patrick. Patrick powering off the line. Their bow forward on Quantum. Remember, they got that second. They led the first race yesterday, and they're really nicely positioned on Quantum. Quantum forced to flip off to the right. Now remember that the right, this is generally a right-favoured race course, so Patrick want to take their opportunity. They have the leverage at the windward end of the line. They have the fleet to leeward, but they don't want to lose the advantage of getting out to the right after that nice start. So they're holding the fleet just now. So the boat's on our right. We are on the commentary boat just forward of the committee boat, just to leeward just now of Sled. So Sled were closed out, but they had time to get all the way round and just tuck in behind Interlodge. And their advantage was they came through the line with pace, flipped off over onto port, and really are rumbling very nicely up this first beat of race 5. Got that second behind Quantum yesterday. So again, small changes at the back of Sled. Michele Avaldi coming in as strategist, working with Murray Jones and Andrea Vicentini. I think if I'm not wrong, that afterguard have sailed together a few times on various different Maxi 72s. But Slide really have good pace just now, moving forward on Interlodge, the regatta leader, just sandwiched between Quantum and Sled. So it's a 2-mile beat. Wind, as I say, around about 12 knots. Quite puffy. Little gusts in the water now. We're looking through the gap between Sled and Interlodge, looking at, I think, probably platoon best on that left side. I think platoon kind of sailing the fleet just now. Cowie, the project manager on the Sled, is the renowned as one of the best main sheet trimmers in the world. He has sailed with Mr. Akura for a very good number of years. They also have a 12-metre in Newport, which they sail regularly. For me, they're not quite as low on port as we've seen before. Breeze is still quite left-sided, as we're seeing now as we look across at the main part of the fleet. Anything that's a little lefty, a little left on port. Crevettes are nicely based, nicely placed, good speed. Few experts round the race village talking of crevettes are being the stealth of this season. It's hard to gauge a little bit because, or certainly for looking back at last season, they had a bad start to the season. Back in Bayona, they were always on the back foot from there. They have a great team and well resourced, sailing the boat nicely. They're just to windward of the Gladiator. So the key is going to be when these three boats on that right side flip over onto starboard, but I'm certainly at the moment not seeing the significant advantage that there was in the first few days. This breeze is more to the left. I think we're around about 150 off the line. And the breeze up at 13-14 knots just now. So the boats which are second and third on the standings side by side, Travezza and Allegri. It's having a little bit of a tough time at the moment. You can be sure that they will come good in due course. Taking a little bit of time to settle Santi Lang in as the new tactician. So we are now on the left side of the course, the long side platoon, looking at platoon's position on port. Certainly they have 4 or 5 boats to leeward, nicely lined up. So looking across platoon's bow, then Quantum Racing looking quite good along with Sled. I think at the end I'll probably still have Sled leading this race. So short to kind of medium term, Interlodge's goals are obviously top 3, top 4 every race, as they are for everyone, but their main focus just now is keeping Allegra and Travezza behind them. Quantum and Sled less of a concern. So we're looking on the right side of the course. We have seen the Sled and Quantum tacked onto starboard. Now for me, platoon better on this left side just now. Got a slightly more lifted breeze. Certainly got pace, but it's very, very close between them. But I would have platoon maybe a boat length ahead. It's all about wind pressure just now as well. Platoon just opening gauge on the boats to leeward as Alpha Plus have to tack out from where they were, so too Gladiator, and Alpha Plus actually end up making platoon tack, and that improves the position immediately for Gladiator. Alpha Plus a little bit sandwiched in the middle. Little right shift come through, with just the advantage suddenly of the boats on that right side. Sled and Quantum now looking pretty good. On this left side, Gladiator now have control of Alpha Plus, and Platoon were looking good a few minutes ago. Just about to able to break forward of Alpha Plus. Harmuller Spear, the owner driver of Platoon, just squeezing the boat up, working with his main sheet trimmer, Dirk de Ridder. A little puff on just now, and that's just enough to give them the height to squeeze Alpha Plus off and give them just a little bit of breathing space. So great experience now for the Alpha Plus team, racing in as much breeze as we have seen at this regatta, their first 52 Super Series regatta. And so it's the finer details, it's the fine details of these close quarters manoeuvres against these top teams. This is where it takes time to learn, to have the manoeuvres become instinctive to the whole team. And the Platoon team fully hyped, giving everything up the speed, trying to get forward off Gladiator. So the right side starting to pay now as we get further up the course. Sled good, Quantum good. Allegra just in a little bit of a tight spot, starting to be squeezed by Phoenix. There's a 2 mile beat, appropriate for this 13 knot breeze, and we're going to head up to the windward mark now, and I'll give you full details of the approach, but it's going to be pretty tight. So we're on the first upwind of race number 5 here in Saint-Tropez. So we're at the windward mark, first time up. And as I said, it's going to be super close, but it is actually sled coming round the top mark. Remember, they got closed out at the committee boat end of the line, managed to squeeze round quickly, and the key thing for them was they had pace coming through the line. They were able to tack off onto port early, and they're away across the offset leg, super fast, opening distance on Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic, who get round in second. Third round is going to be Provezza alongside Paprec. Paprec had a good first beat, got away off the start line nicely. Then it's very busy at the line at the mark. Actually, Phoenix managing to squeeze up inside Interlodge. Gladiator stuck just slowed at the mark. So Phoenix round next, then Interlodge. Then Bayou Platoon coming round in 8th place. 9th is Gladiator. 10th is Allegre, and Alpha Plus come round in 11th, but side by side with Allegre. So Allegre then, as we said, been super consistent so far, back in 10th place at the moment. Interlodge, the regatta leaders, well, fairly solid, but they do have a lot of work to do. And this is going to be an interesting run. Really good, a little bit of wind pressure on. Right hand breeze. A couple of boats have jibe set, notably Provezza. Now Provezza off and running at pace on port jibe downwind. Chased by Phoenix and Platoon and Allegre. So great to see the fleet at pace. Not quite enough to get planing, but certainly doing 13-14 knots downwind just now. Great test of trimming and boat handling now. So I wonder, this is when the skills of the likes of Harry Melgis, who's come into the Quantum Racing powered by American Magic team from small sports keelboats. Also did a 49er program at one point. So in this stronger sporty breeze, it's when the instincts and the ability to use the puffs to maximum effect to get down, gain a few meters here and there. So Provezza gone right out to that left side downwind along with Phoenix. Phoenix have Tony Norris steering at the moment, this regatta. Steered most of the events, I think in the end I think probably all of the events last year. Patrick really kind of doing their own thing down this run. Nice open lane. So remember saying yesterday our tactician is Manu DN from the Mediterranean, from this south coast of France, who's well acquainted with the wind patterns around here. Mostly obviously racing in the air in Marseille, ex-49er campaigner. So Alpha Plus then in the mix, chasing Gladiator. They're only 2 or 3 boat lengths behind. Loads of experience on board the Alpha Plus, as well as the younger amateur and semi-pro teams, pro sailors. Just Ian Walker. Ian goes way back to the very, very beginning of the TP52 class in the men. The original global champion with boat called Patches. And over the years they sailed with a few different teams, including Gladiator, which they're chasing at the moment. So nice to see the Phoenix team in the mix, and more importantly enjoying themselves in these brisk conditions. It's 16, probably 15, 16 knots now on this left side of the course. We're just chasing the fleet down on our commentary boat. And I think that on this left side looking downwind, more pressure, and Crevettes are just taking a nice shift, sailing a nice low angle on the added pressure. We'll see how they get down relative to the boats which were leading at the top mark, which were Sled and Quantum. Nice job from the Phoenix team. Now I think we're going to see potentially a new leader down this run, or certainly it's going to be close, but nice gain to the Crevezza team. They're on starboard going at Sled. Neck and neck then. Sled have to jibe. Crevezza have the momentum, but I think probably Sled just keeping their advantage. Yeah, Sled a boat length ahead still, but Crevezza clearly through Quantum. But even still, lots to happen on this run. We're looking at Platoon. I think it is working the right downwind, or maybe Allegra. It's all going to be about, once again, mark choice at this lure gate. So you kind of have to have a little bit of a chuckle when we consider what people were talking about, a light wind regatta at the beginning of the week, saying, oh no, what else do you expect in Saint-Tropez? It usually either blows with the Mistral at 25-30 knots, or it's very light, but we're getting a great southerly breeze, some nice thermal enhancement, fantastic conditions. The battle is on at the front of the fleet between Sled and Crevezza. Crevezza just have a puff. They're just got more pace just now than Sled. Sled slightly slower. And this is going to give Ergen Imri's team the advantage of coming to the left-hand mark if they choose to do so. Which is absolutely neck and neck. So there we go, the breeze has moved round right as it has done the past couple of days. So through the leeward gate, first time down, it's actually Provezza leading on the right hand mark, looking upwind, going round almost simultaneously with Sled on the left. Round third will be Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic. Great recovery by Allegri coming down this run. They're going to come round in fourth, I think. They have some work to do to get jibed inside Platoon, but also a nice run from the Phoenix team. Coming round now on the right hand mark. Next round is Electria on the right hand mark. Platoon also. Patrick being chased hard by Alpha Plus. Fantastic action. It's just boat, on boat coming through this leeward gate. Patrick half a boat length behind Platoon. Platoon tack off early. Have to thread their way through the 2 or 3 boats still coming downwind. It's really all about precision boat handling in this breezy conditions now. We're seeing Alpha Plus coming round the mark at the moment, and the regatta leaders, Interlodge, are now back in 10th or 11th place. Going round the left hand mark, finding these breezier conditions a little bit tough. Alpha Plus come round in 8th place. 9th place is Gladiator. 10th is Team Vayu. So what a great leeward gate. So really tough, or quite tough physical work getting round, getting everything sorted out at the leeward gate. We're just watching Vayu trying to clear things up, get settled up upwind. So Provezza then really with the bit between their teeth, leading this group on the right. They're still probably quite even with Sled. The key gate will be on this right side once again. That's where they're leading towards. We now have 17 knots in breeze, I would say 16, 17 knots. As I said just a few moments ago, great to see Phoenix right into their stride, into the match. I think they're probably in 5th place at the moment. Still the nice downwind, at pace, team working well. It's so important to build a little bit of confidence and feel the potential. So Preveza have just tacked. Just going back at sled, which you have a clear lead over. I wonder whether they'll just go over and tack on sled's face. Just to bounce them away from this favoured right hand side, but I think probably they're in a position to do their own thing. Look at that. I think platoon may just get there. Gladiator through in 9th, platoon 10th, and Vayu 11th. So just to repeat that finishing order: Sled win, then on the final run, 2nd Preveza, 3rd Quantum Racing, 4th Phoenix, 5th Allegra, 6th Paprec, Interlodge I think in 7th, and then Alpha plus Platoon and Vayu. Sorry, a Gladiator in 8th. It's the boat I was missing. So mixed emotions, I would imagine, on the Preveza, because they should take the regatta lead, but they were leading at the top mark, and they were actually leading by a little bit more on that second beat. They tacked back at Sled from I would say a stronger position out on the right, and actually just brought themselves back closer to Sled. So it'll be interesting for both teams when they debrief that. But they opened themselves up in these gusty conditions, puffy conditions coming downwind. Sled sailed it better, quicker on the gusts to steal a win. So Sled go 2-1. But however, great conditions. We should go straight into the second race of the day. So that's the midpoint of the regatta. That is with race 5 just completed in great conditions. So a nice recovery as well by Allegri. Allegri were back in 9th at the top mark. Anyway, we'll join you again for the second race of the day. Say conditions remaining pretty decent. We'll see you in a few minutes. So welcome back to the Gulf of Saint-Tropez, the beautiful Côte d'Azur. A little bit chilly this afternoon now. The breeze has picked up still more for this second race. We're into the second half of the regatta. Race number 5 saw a win for Sled. Preveza just behind them. But it is Preveza which now lead the regatta, taking the upper hand. Preveza, the Turkish flag team for Ergun Imre, are now 4 points clear of Interlodge. Interlodge gone 6-8-7 over the last 3 races, and they're 1 point clear of Allegra. Allegra nice and consistent. Got a great recovery really in that race. Remember, they were down in 10th, I think, at the first mark, first time up. Quantum Racing moving up the table. Best scoring team over the last 2 races with a first and a third. Sailed nicely then, so they're on 26 points on the climb. Platoon were looking quite good even in that last race, and then had that problem near the finish. We think they did a penalty turn, but they also called for a 5-minute delay for a technical problem. So I don't know whether that was the reason they did their circles or whether they had a penalty, to be quite honest. But nonetheless, they dropped places, and that puts a little bit more pressure on them on the start. So we've seen the committee vote end the line in the last 2 races, being the key piece of real estate, the key area you want to start on. The objective is to get to the right side of the course. That's become the winning pattern over each race so far. But that's a really tough call, and we can see a little bit more, I'm sure, more port bias this time, but we saw Platoon starting more towards the pin that time. They looked good, they were best of the left-hand group, but once again really it was from halfway up, it's the right side that comes good. So setting up early towards this committee vote end of the line. It's where the main cluster are, if you like. Preveza, John Cutler just not going into the high tariff areas for the moment. Just trying to do a little bit of time and distance, I think. They're trying to keep themselves clear of the main melee. It's so important to get off the start line with pace in the clear lane. Although in saying that, remember that Sled were actually the boat which were closed out at the committee vote end of the line at that time. They circled round, they crossed the line late but with pace, and were able to get right, and they led round the top mark. But it also tells you something about the speed that Sled have. So Sled starting most left of the group, just forward of Alpha Plus at the moment. Alpha Plus starting to be blanketed a little bit by Preveza. Preveza have the Thai team, the Whitcraft family, 6 family members on board Vayu. Don Whitcraft on the helm. Just the bows come down for the final speed build. It's going to be Paprec coming in late. The committee boat end of the line. Gladiator a boat length shy of the line, but in the end all clear on the start line. Maria Trijo, our race officer, tells us Paprec coming in late with loads of pace though. Now the key thing there for them is actually Gladiator tack in front of them. Now they were on starboard and could have called the Gladiator, but Paprec decide that what they want is to get out to the right early, and they will rather get there than get tangled up with Gladiator. Meantime, Platoon are in trouble, having to do turns. Platoon doing their turns. This is being a little bit of a disastrous day for Platoon just now. We've seen recoveries from them before. Doing after stage one now. They're 11th and quite a little bit behind the fleet. Quantum Racing, best of the boats, in the middle of the course. So Preveza were held a little bit by Vayu, just pinned out to that side, perhaps more than they would have wanted to, but again looking quite similar to the previous race. They seemed to be in a slight left phase of the breeze. If you look at the angle that Quantum are coming up at just now relative to Gladiator and Paprec, so we're in probably 16-18 knots of breeze. This should be a nice crisp, sporty, competitive race. Now then, Interlodge did not have a good start at all, but they're finding themselves a lane going forward on Allegre is, which is just to windward of them, I think. Great conditions now. 16-18 knots of breeze, fully hiked up, maybe even more than that, maybe 19. So our French team, Paprec, on, I'd call it home waters, going well on this right side. Now forward of Interlodge. I like it, quite nicely placed forward of the boats to their left. It's a 2.1 mile beat. This time breeze is at 200. Once again, breeze shifting right through the day. It does seem to be that from about halfway up the beat, just over halfway up the beat, this right side becomes stronger because of the breeze lifting over the shore up to our right. it does often become the case that the teams very soon learn the pattern of the breeze, the geometry of the race course. When you come to a new venue like this, well, it's not a new venue, it's different to what the pro sailors usually see in September when they race here. So it's usually very much an autumn venue rather than spring. I think Saint-Tropez quite keen to host more Grand Prix events and more classes. Obviously super proud of the Les Voiles de Saint-Tropez, and they've had the Sail GP here, I think twice. But really this stretch of water showing what it can be like for a Grand Prix monohull class like the 52 Super Series. So Paprec tack from their position on the most right of the fleet. So maybe the case that the left looks a little bit stronger, maybe that won't bias off the line. Top mark. Go to top mark. So very busy in the middle of the course just now, looking like a good race so far for Provezza. Provezza, remember, we're well to the left of the group, just almost crossing, I think, Vayu. They're on port though, that's the problem just now. I think they're getting through Vayu, but probably Allegri on this right side along with Quantum. It's very close with Provezza. Provezza, I think, will just tack underneath, indeed they do, just tacking on the bow of the Quantum. It's Sled having come off that left end of the line. Remember, we were talking about them starting more towards the pin, have made that left side work for them. They are on port though, and they too are just tacking underneath the fleet for plus Vayu, but tacking forward of Quantum. But for me, Allegri and potentially Gladiator in the strongest position. Now we're going to head up to the windward mark and we'll speak to you from the windward mark. So we're waiting at the windward mark. I'm really finding this upwind fascinating because a few minutes ago we saw Provenza coming through the fleet, getting out to the right side. They looked good a moment ago, but it's looking very much like it'll be between, I think, Sled probably leading at the windward mark. Now they came up the left side of the track, but they're going to have to tack under the bows of Allegra. I'm not sure they're going to manage that. Now this is going to be fascinating. We've got 5 or 6 boats overlapped coming into the windward mark. Tough for Sled to really push up the underlay line, but they can hold Allegra up, which they're doing. And Quantum just slightly to weather, have the room to keep the pace on. It's really tough because Sled are trying to shoot the mark from the inside. Allegra going to get round. Back. The Patrick have been closed out. It's going to be Allegra who get through from that mess at the windward mark. Allegra getting clear with Quantum racing. Quantum have a little bit more pace. Now still Sled stuck at the mark. Phoenix are having to do turns or turn away from the mark. Sled are still pretty much on the mark. Meantime, Allegra are still to windward of them. Oh, sorry, Allegra got away. There's still one boat just to windward of them. Interlodge also not quite making it. Phoenix have had to go right round the back as well. So too have Paprec. So really, heroes to zeros, unfortunately, for the Sled. They're coming in there tight on that port lay line, just underlaid in the end, and they were caught in the lee of all the sails, had no power, no steerage. It's a really tough one for Sled. They'd done all the right things up that windward leg. So Allegra got around that mark nicely. It's very, very tight. They were just underlaid slightly, but really massive credit to Andy Soriano, who just kept his cool, kept the boat moving, managed to stay clear of the other boats around about them. Also great credit to Quantum. Quantum have done it simple, and Quantum have kept it simple and did a straight bear-away set. So really, really exciting windward mark. So only 2 boats have gone down to the right side looking downwind, otherwise it's a straight jibe set for everyone else. We'll go that way. So John Kostecki and the Victor Diaz de Leon have called this staying down the right side downwind. I think it's as much about keeping it simple, keeping out of trouble. And letting the boat do the work, letting the speed team do their thing. So to platoon then had to do turns off the start line. So such is the nature of this fleet really. You have a good day, it's very easy to then have a bad day. Yesterday, Platoon were on the top scoring boat with a first and a third. Today they've dropped to, I think, ninth in the first race when they were in for a solid result, having to do turns close to the finish line. So we're alongside Quantum now. Quantum seemed to be going quite nicely down this run, sailing quite a low angle. I always feel that John Kosteki's got a really good feel for the breeze and the angles coming downwind. Quite often did see Platoon making gains downwind. The confidence is so important in the early stage of the fleet. Team has to find confidence in each other. It's exactly what Victor Diaz de Leon was saying to us last night. The new strategist navigator on the Quantum was just saying they have to learn to trust each other. So looking at the way the Quantum have gone today, and indeed winning that race yesterday, I think that perhaps the observers who were saying Quantum will take some time to settle maybe it won't take them so long. But of course, boat handling is so important in this fleet, and the core of this team really are rock solid. And the younger team members learning from some of the best in the world. This is a fabulous race because it's showing the race course to be a little bit more open than previously. Not just right side pays. Looking back up the course, you can see Sled fighting hard to get back into this race. So they really had done a great upwind, started off the left side of the group. The only problem was that brought them in with a very slim ley line, having to tack underneath the boats coming in from the right on starboard. There just wasn't the room to keep the power on for the last 4 or 5 boat lengths into the mark. And when they started to shoot the mark, that's to say bring the bow up, lose power out of the sails and just use the momentum of the boat to go round the mark. What happened was they were blanketed by Allegra to windward, then to lesser extent Quantum to windward of them. And they really just ground to halt and stuck on the mark. Credit to them, they didn't hit the mark. At the same time, it was so busy that both Paprec and Phoenix had to bail out from the lineup and go round. So we're coming down to the Leeward Gate, race number 6, neck and neck between Allegre and Quantum. These two boats have stepped clear. Allegre, a very, very strong team now. Interesting to note, I think I saw some images during the week of the Allegre peloton, they call it, the cyclists of the Allegre team. They had 9 of them out cycling together at the same time. So kite drop early for Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic, and they are leading. Quantum Racing leading through the Leeward Gate on the right hand mark, looking upwind. They have Allegre just behind them. And they are well clear of the next placed boat coming down, which is going to be third, which will be in fact Gladiator. British flagged boat are going to miss the coronation tomorrow. However, they are going round the right hand mark now. Platoon have got themselves right back into this race, coming round this left hand mark, looking upwind. They have Prevezza just behind them. So Gladiator on the right hand mark. Platoon leading Prevezza, then at the same time Vayu and Alpha Plus are two teams from Asia rounding opposite marks at the same time. From Hong Kong, Alpha Plus. From Thailand, Team Vayu. Interlodge coming round the Leeward Gate now on the right hand mark. Then it's going to be Phoenix coming in at the same time as Paprec. And Sled, unfortunately, then still in 11th place. So good recovery from Platoon generally. Battle at the front of this race is between Quantum and Allegre, and they're well clear actually of Gladiator. Both of the two lead boats going out to the right side. Yeah, windward mark then, waiting for the fleet to arrive. Sorry for the long silence, but it's a little bit of a battle to get upwind, and 18 knots of breeze, something like that, quite choppy. However, it looks like Quantum Racing in command for the meantime. They're to weather of Allegre. And really they're still quite a nice beat. Allegre just to leeward. Gladiator still quite nicely positioned. Provezza come in from that left side. So Quantum then just passing the little protector mark on port tack. They have a lead of 40 metres in Allegre. So Allegre go into this race with a 5-point deficit on Provezza. And Quantum Racing then leading at the offset mark. Quantum going for a jibe set this time. They have the space. Another little bit of a twist on their kite, but Allegre second, the Gladiator third. I think Platoon up to fourth, Bayou fifth, and Provezza sixth. Keep going. No, go forward, forward. That's it, that's it. So this lead opened out just now for Quantum. Allegre going well though, bow up, full planing, Andy Soriano, max concentration. Pretty sure this is going to be our 1, 2, 3 through the finish line. Great conditions, fabulous finale to Friday. Allegre pushing it hard though, giving it all they can to try and catch the Quantum Racing powered by American Magic. The fleet very much lining up one behind the other on this last run of the day. Provezza and Phoenix opting to go right. Go down, go to Legra. So Legra pushing hard, so too Gladiator behind. Great conditions. Allegra seemed to sail, managed to get the bow up a little bit more than the Quantum. Trimmers Andy Hemmings and John Gunderson. Sebastian Penhag, the project manager, on the pumps, on the handles. And the two former 470 aces at the back of the boat, the strategist Will Ryan, tactician Nick Asher, Francesco Mongelli, Italian navigator who was with Luna Rossa. They're going well actually, they're catching Quantum. Just bringing the breeze down to Quantum a little bit. But also, I say, it's so much about holding on to the gust, and they've got a bigger gust, a bigger puff just now. They're bringing that down to Quantum. Quantum under pressure, but keeping it cool all the time. Keep an eye on the Crevezza and platoon going out to that right side, looking downwind. You're always vulnerable as a leader when your breeze is puffy and gusty like this, because the boat behind will always get the gust first and will accelerate. So I think this should probably give Andy Soriano's team the regatta lead. The two jibe pretty much simultaneously. Now Allegra trying to get down inside Quantum, sail a shorter distance to the mark, to the finish line. So fantastic final run, great battle between Allegra and Quantum Racing. 21-year-old helmsman on the Quantum Racing. head-to-head with Andy Soriano, one of the most experienced helmsmen in the fleet. And this is one of the great things about sailing. It's a lifetime sport, and you can race on equal terms, head-to-head. And race against Olympic champions, America's Cup champions, Volvo Ocean Race winners in this fleet. And no matter what, there's no guaranteed wins in this fleet. Nothing is guaranteed. So interesting, because may be the case just now that Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic, Doug DeVos team, I think is almost laying the finish. We can just see them, Harry Melgis, Junior Harry Melgis the fourth, pulling the helm down, working hard to keep the boat low and fast in the gusts. Allegra, I think, just a little bit high on the finish buoy on the left side. They may have to jibe, and that may just give the win to Quantum, and maybe. But it's super close, and actually the committee boat end of the line is slightly closer, but it's all about the puff, it's all about the final gust coming into this finish line. Actually Allegra have got a little bit more puff, but they're going to have to jibe, or they're not. They're just ghosting down head to head, bow to bow, super close. It's going to be a photo finish. I think that Quantum Racing may just get it. The final surge, the final dip for the line, and Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic, take the race win. They're second off the regatta. Andy Soriano's team, Allegra, come through the finish line in second, but I think should take the regatta lead. Next will be Gladiator. So Allegra go to 26 points, Quantum Racing to 27. Interlodge need to be third or better to take the regatta, to hold on to the regatta lead, or to hold the regatta lead. Prevezza need to be fourth. So Gladiator come through in third. Great recovery from Platoon. Platoon get fourth. Massive kudos to Harm Muller-Spreer's team. Backs were against the wall off that start line. They showing their fighting spirit, coming through in fourth. And in fifth then, Team Vayu. High fives all round in the Vayu. They were well down this fleet at the top mark, first time up. Prevezza will come through in sixth. So that takes them to 25 points. So Prevezza, in fact, will be the team that holds the regatta lead. Paprec come through in seventh. And it's close between Phoenix and Interlodge. Phoenix will get it. 8th for Phoenix, 9th for Interlodge. Tenth for Alpha Plus, and 11th, disappointing then for Sled to come through with their 11th place, but good race win then for Quantum Racing, Allegra second, and I may well be wrong, but I think that Provezza hold the regatta lead. I have them on 25 points, 19 points going into this race, plus 6 gives them 25. 26 for Allegra, Quantum Racing on 27. Very, very provisional. And these results will be confirmed super quick on the website. The guys are, as soon as we get confirmation of the results from Maria Torrijo, our wonderful race officer, they will be updated on the website. Great days racing here on the Gulf of Saint-Tropez. Fingers crossed for tomorrow. But really, you could not ask for more today. First race in 14-15 knots of breeze, second in 17-18, almost playing in conditions downwind. But a great opening to the season so far here in Saint-Tropez. Join us tomorrow and Sunday. We'll see you then.